up in the morning cause life's a dream. First thing I need is my Dermanine. First thing I need is my Dermanine. Okay. Can't leave the house without my little treat. Dance a little jig before I hit the streets. Throw on my fit and I cannot lose. Saffron oil and I feel brand new. Saffron oil and I feel brand new. Conquer the world cause I'm beautiful. I do no wrong cause I'm beautiful. And life is a song cause it's beautiful. And I'm dancing along cause I'm beautiful, yeah. Dominique's just the best in nature.
Hello and welcome to the 9th Annual Mosaic International South Asian Film Festival, MISAFF, presented by the Canadian Community Arts Initiative, CCAI. My name is Arshad Khan and I'm the festival director. This year we presented Mosaic as a hybrid festival with all the films available digitally from the 1st to the 6th of December on digital TIFF Bell Lightbox. One of the films was only available in person, and we had a beautiful red carpet gala and world premiere of Agam Darjee's feature film DONKEYHEAD, produced by Kelly Ballon and Anand Romaya. This year, Telefilm Canada presented the MISAFF Chat, and we had a beautiful industry conversation with the cast and crew of DONKEYHEAD. Telefilm Canada's regional feature film executive for the Western region, Lauren Davis, conducted this talk. Please watch it, enjoy it, and share it. Thank you. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you for having me, and thanks to Arshad and MISAFF for having me here to talk with the DONKEYHEAD team. This is a project that Telefilm helped support and we're very excited about. I'm delighted to chat with the team and get into some stories and advice for other filmmakers. And I'll start by introducing Agam Darjee, the writer-director and one of the performers, so both sides of the camera, and let her introduce the rest of the team. Over to you, Agam.
Thanks, Lauren, and thank you, Arshad, and everyone at MISAFF. This is such an honor to be here. We're so excited. I want to just start off by introducing my producers, Kelly Ballon, although I like to call him Kelly Ballon, and Anand Ramaya, who have been such huge supports. They're part of Karma Film, who have actually been making films for almost 20 years and have been a huge kind of the foundation of this funny little family that we've created. So do you guys want to introduce the cast?
Sure, I can start. I will introduce the wonderful Stephen Lobo, who plays the role of Parm. Kelly, you want to introduce?
Sure, and Sandy Sidhu plays Sandy Guman, and Hus Madhavji, who plays Roop. And this is Team Guman, who we all came to fall in love with over the last year.
And of course, Agam Darjee, who plays Mona, the centerpiece of this awesome film. So nice to see everybody together again.
I wanted to also introduce the amazing producers Anand Ramaya and Kelly Ballon, and their Karma Productions has very interesting description, because it says they strive to facilitate co-productions with like-minded top creators from around the globe who challenge heteronormative, patriarchal, and colonial mindsets. That's absolutely beautiful. Welcome.
Well, let's start with Agam. You really drove this project. This is your first feature. When you and I first met about this project, you had your script, which we'll get into in a little bit about your writing process, and you were looking for the right director at the time and the right producer. So tell us about that journey you went on to find the right team.
Yeah, I remember coming into the office and I was like, how do I do this, Lauren? I knew that I wanted to play Mona, and so that was easy, but I wanted to find somebody who resonated with this story to produce it and someone to direct it. I kind of went through my Rolodex. I took lots of meetings with different producers, reached out to all kinds of producers, you know, people who have just started out, mid-level, people who have done tons of things, and just to get a sense of what it was that I wanted. And then I remember thinking back and I was like, there was this guy in this movie I did called Chokeslam in Regina, it was in Regina actually about 5 years ago. It was a Robert Cuffley film. And you know, the truth is there's not a lot of South Asians in film. So when you do find one, you're kind of like, you sort of beeline to that person. Because I felt like I needed a producer who understood the story from a real personal place. And I was like, well, if he's South Asian, like that's already in like an automatic understanding. And so I reached out to Anand, and he took months to get back to me. But finally he did. He was in India at the time and he was working on other things. But when he read it, he loved it. He loved the script, and he gave it to Kelly, and Kelly loved it. And they contacted me right away and said that they were interested in maybe applying for some development funding. Would I be okay with that? Would I be up for it? And so I was like, yes, definitely. And then, and so then they did. And then that was kind of the beginning of that process. And then as a director, same thing. I wanted somebody who had some like skin in the game and understood the story that I was really trying to tell. And so I actually approached Robert Cuffley, a white male who I had worked with before, whose work I really love. I asked him to read the script. He loved it. And he actually encouraged me to direct it. And I was like, no, I want to play Mona. And he's like, you can do both and I'll help you. So he was a huge, huge ally for me, and was the person that really kind of got me on the journey of directing this myself.
That's wonderful.
And I was just going to jump in. I was going to ask Kelly and Anand, how, on your end, how was it getting the script from this amazing, wonderful actress who just last year did Funny Boy? She's so versatile. She's always working, and she got a lot of huge accolades for her work in Funny Boy, the Deepa Mehta film. So tell us, how was it on your end, getting this beautiful, energetic woman come into your life and push you to produce a?
Well, I just, so you know, Agam, as well, that you did send the script and I had it, and I didn't read it first. Kelly did, and Kelly grabbed me and said, "You got to read this, like, no, like now, stop what you're doing and read it now." And then I think we called you like within 3 hours or something like that, or it was the next day or something. We were in Toronto finally together physically, because we had been working between here and India. So that was the sort of initial kind of step, one of the first steps that happened on our end. But this was before Funny Boy, and it was after we had done Chokeslam together. And so, I think we just all had a really good experience with Agam. And well, we've all met Agam. So, I think she's very good at sort of endearing people towards her and her projects and whatever she's doing. And it was a great experience working with her on that other film as an actress. Kelly, I'm sure you have more to add to that. So.
Yeah, and I'll just add that, like Anand said, we knew Agam from Chokeslam, Robert Cuffley's film, and she had a fairly small but not insignificant role in it. I just adored her acting. She had such great comedy timing and really great acting skills, and just charming to be around. So when her script came in, it was my fault that it took months to get back to you, Agam, by the way. It wasn't Anand.
I like to always.
This is one of those things.
For everything.
Yeah. Anand, yeah. I'll take that. But it's just one of those things. It was like I had it on my mind for so long, and I was like, I got to read that script. But time kept passing by. But then, as Anand said, I read it and I couldn't put it down. It was just like such a universal story that I thought a lot of people would really resonate with. And, and people quickly did. I think we sent it out to distributors, and Level Film fell in love with it right away. Telefilm obviously came in for development early on. So did Creative Saskatchewan and some of our other financing just started to kind of come into place. And it actually was one of the like quickest projects that we took from development into production. So it was just like all of the signals were there that this is a winner for us.
Yeah.
Tell us, Lauren, how was it for you on your end when they brought this project to you?
Well, to come into Telefilm, you do need to have, for development, a producer attached. So that was the first step that Agam just described, which was getting into that team mentality and pulling those people together. So they came in for development, and then, as you said, Kelly, it was pretty quickly that you turned around and came back in for production, and applied into the production stream.
Yeah, it was really. I remember pitching this show in January in Winnipeg, and you were there, Lauren, as well. But I was pitching it. And it was actually Super Channel that just after going through the pitch deck and sort of that meeting, right? They were really, it was one of those moments, right? Where you're like, okay, people are listening, they're hearing the story, and they're open right now. And it's just like, it was a really, I think we're having a moment right now in this country and internationally. And I feel like Agam's timing was incredible. And that we were in a really nice situation to be kind of coming out into the world with the script that was already so well crafted, and it just, things just kind of flowed really nicely. It's kind of the way you hope it does, but it never does. But it did, so here we are. You know.
Agam, did the writing process, I mean, we're making it sound all very easy, that it came together very quickly. But from your point of view, what was the writing process like?
It was very long. I actually have an email from about 10 years ago from somebody that I know who gave me notes on this script. But it's gone through a lot of iterations. It was a very different film back then. I think the thing that always remained the same was that it was about 4 siblings, and either one or both dying parents, or they were both dead, and it was basically about family. But how do they, what's the glue when the people who the parents are no longer there? How do they sort of stick together? So that was always the same. Mona's character was always the same, and that was it. And so I went through Practice, the Screenwriters Lab, in 2018 with the script, and that was a huge turnaround for me, because for the first time ever, I had mentors who actually liked the script and had like a real appreciation for it and wanted to see it develop. And so for 6 months, I mean, it was such a luxury to have like Ruth Atkinson and Dennis Roon, you know, work on the script with me and give me notes. And I just kept doing one version after another, and then finally come away with like a really solid piece of writing that I felt really confident in being able to put out.
Can we ask the actors, how did Agam reach out to you, and what was your reaction to the script? How did it resonate with you?
I think Stephen was the first one that I reached out to, actually. That was the person that I reached out to personally.
Yeah, Agam reached out to me, I remember, and if I recall, I just said, you know, I love Agam, and so whatever. So I said, whatever it is, I'm in. But I'll read your script, sure. But I was really excited to see her at that point. I think maybe Telefilm was a maybe, but I think it was probably gonna go, but depending on what budget level and things like that. But so I just remember being thrilled that this was happening for her, because she's been, you know, hitting it hard for as long as I've known her. So I was really excited to see that happening. And then I read the script, and I was just thrilled. Yeah, I reiterated what I said in terms of, you know, I'll play, you know, whatever you want. I remember there was a guy at the end of the script who Mona had a little interchange with, little exchange which I think ended the movie. And I was like, I'll play that guy. And then yeah, I mean, I think she might have asked me which character I might have resonated with the most, and we had some discussion about that. And but yeah, to be involved, I just to be involved, to work with her for one, and to be involved in this script that was really, I hadn't read anything like it before or seen anything like it before. To be involved in any way as an actor was just really thrilling for me, and it grew from there. So yeah.
Yeah, for myself, Agam, I think, had reached out through a quick email, and she's like, I actually went through the casting process. So for me, it was a regular audition through really beloved casting directors, Chris and Kara here in Vancouver. But Agam had sent me a quick line before saying that there was this role of the sister named Sandy that, she was wondering if I'd take a look at it. And like you, Stephen, I knew instantly that I know how much love and effort and hard work Agam puts into every facet of her life. And I knew this was her first feature film. So for her to reach out to me, I was like, wow, like I know this project without even looking at it is going to be really precious to Agam. And so it was just something I was already very interested in reading. And funny enough, at that time, I'm very fortunate to have booked my first series regular on a show. And I was actually saying to my castmates and people around me, and said, I really want to be a part of a minority film where everyone's a minority. And suddenly Agam, out of the blue, messages me. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was really, really excited to read the script. And when I read it, I cried so many times in that first read. And it was just a story, a narrative about a South Asian family that I just haven't seen yet. It kind of, to me, spoke about the potential trauma that first generations experience, that immigrants experience in search of a better life. And there are consequences to that transition, and how do people cope? And as a family, through it's always love that binds us and gets us through those hardships. And it was just a narrative that a Canadian narrative, which was really special to me, that I just hadn't seen before. And it was so human and so well written and so funny. And I played it cool, but I really wanted to be a part of it. I was like, okay, let's audition for this. And I was just like, I said to Agam, no pressure. You cast whoever you want to cast. But I was like, oh my God, I want to be a part of this. And I felt so lucky when they're like, we'd love to have you. And yeah, it's been a very special experience. I've enjoyed every second of this process being a part of the film.
And for me, I met Agam once at like a film festival. I don't know if you remember this, Agam, you probably don't remember it, but it was like in passing at a film festival party in Toronto. She was doing a show called Played, I think. I think you were here I think you were in town for that. Anyway, so I saw her like for a hot second. And then anyways, like years later, I get an email from my agent, and went through it wasn't even the casting process. The email was this, like, hey, take a look, read this film, and then we can set up a meeting with the director. That's what it was. And so I read the script, fell in love with it immediately. I was like, this is like, I had so much fun reading my part, and I read it over and over again. It was like a very fun character to read. And then I get on this I think it was a Zoom, whatever platform. I don't think it was Skype, but it was a Zoom platform with Agam, and it's not an audition for me. It's like, I'm just here to chat with Agam and talk about this whole thing, and like I'm not dressed for the character. Like it just looked very like not cool at all. Like there's pictures on the wall, turntables, like it just was not a audition setting. And Agam was like, so do you want to read the part? Like, do you want to do this? Like, yeah, I want to do this. Like, let's do this. And yeah, and I did it, and then similar to Sandy, I kind of kept it cool. Like cool, man. Yeah, like I'm just so excited, excited about this thing. But immediately called my agent. Just like, oh, I think it went well. I think it went well. Like I don't want to say too much, but I think it went well. You might want to call them right now. And agent was like, you might want to slow down. Like let them just breathe for a second. And call them like tomorrow and follow up with them. But I really wanted to be a part of it for. I'll echo some of what Stephen and Sandy said. Like the writing is fantastic. The writing is fantastic. The audition with Agam was wonderful. Like she was so, like even in her notes and the way she handled like the character, I thought was very sensitive and sweet. And also, these types of projects are so far and few between. And I know that is. Hopefully, we're seeing more and more of them now, but they're just so rare. They're still so rare, and so when something like this happens, it's like really important. It becomes like you like I wanted it so bad for I think for that reason, and look at this. Like I'm the four of us. Like I feel like they're like this like family. Like these are like my siblings, and like that's yeah. It's awesome to see them, and like I miss them so much. Like I want to hold them and like it was such a wonderful experience, and everything that the script had delivered on during that month in Regina, like, and it was like, and that I think is rare. I don't know how Agam, Stephen, and Sandy feel about this, but like sometimes you read a script and then it's like it surpasses your expectation, or it's like this was like everything I wanted it to be and then some. So yep, that's my story.
Agam, this is such a great attestation to your hard work and your great script. Everybody's talking about how much they love the script. On your end, how was it to make these casting choices? You seem to have like picked the cream of the crop. And was there any pressure? What were the pressures on you to pick a cast, and how did you make your decisions? And can you talk about your challenges with casting?
Yeah, I got so lucky. I do have the cream of the crop. It was the best cast. But I think, like a lot of films, there's always pressure to get a name, and that was a consideration for a little while. And who would that name be, and what character would that be, and would we go through like LA, because that's where the names are made. And I'm really happy that we didn't, because these guys have names, they've worked for a really long time. But it's a different kind of scenario here in Canada. And we were in a very, very lucky position where Telefilm came through and Creative Saskatchewan came through. And I think maybe Kelly and Anand can talk a little bit about that, but we didn't need a name to carry our film or to get money or to get investors. We were simply allowed to make the type of film that we wanted to make. So I think that was the biggest thing in terms of casting. And then, I've worked with Stephen before, and I've always just like really like admired him from afar. And I knew that I wanted him to be a part of the film. The thing also that I was thinking about and that I was cognizant about is that this is a Sikh Punjabi family. So how many of these characters are Sikh Punjabi, and Stephen also had the added pressure of having to wear a turban and, like really embody this character. So I wanted to be really respectful to my culture, my religion, and to the people. But at the same time, I wanted, like, hands down, like I just wanted the best actor ever. And I knew that Stephen could deliver. I knew that whatever he would put his like mind to, he was gonna like kill it. And then same with like Sandy is Sikh Punjabi, but she just had the essence of the person that I wanted. I've known her for a long time. But I still, like, poor thing, I still put her through the casting process, because as a director, it's the easiest and best way to kind of know, like, yeah, I knew I was right, but now I'm really, really right. I'm absolutely sure. And then Hoos was like really the one person I didn't know. So he was a bit of a wild card. I had shown his audition to whoever would watch. And like, and I was like, I think this guy, but I don't know him. And like, what if it's like, what if he's like not the guy, you know, like what, because you can, I've, as an actor, I've been on so many sets where, you know, like one wrong mistake with acting and not necessarily the character, but who the person is on set as a human being can really break production. Like it can really make an awful experience for everybody around. And I did not want that. But he had such a kindness and to him. And then I was leaning towards like booking him, but then my husband actually was a huge part of that. He was like, he's the guy. I'm like, why are you waffling? Like, he's the guy. And same with Kelly and Anand. They were like such champions as well. And so it was, when it came together, it was amazing to see the four of us, because I think we all felt it. We're like, oh, like this doesn't happen often where you actually fall in love with these people that you act with and really feel like family. But I don't know, Kelly and Anand, if you wanted to talk a little bit about some of the pressures for casting.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrible when you feel like you have to go after finding someone that has value, like that elusive term, right, of like market value. And it's something I think that
be honest, Anand, Scarlett Johansson was busy.
Yeah. There's no role for her in this movie, right? So, but you know, it's like we didn't have to do that, and I just feel so thankful, because I think once in a while you get it right, and you're allowed to do what you need to do and pick the right people for the roles and look for chemistry and be sort of devout to that idea and that approach of doing it, and we were able to do that on this film. And those were the conversations, you know, Kelly and Agam and I were having a lot too. It's like, well, no, we don't have to do anything. Like, we just have to make the best film possible. And, you know, Lauren, thank you so much, because you were, you know, in the background encouraging the same thing. It's like, don't let any market force or shiny bauble sort of distract you from that, because hearing that from someone who's financing a large part of the picture, it's really gives you the confidence to go and make the right choices. And I think, you know, Agam did a fantastic job of ultimately making those calls. And okay, and I would love for all you guys to talk about this weird thing that happened, which is like on screen, they were a family, and then, you know, cut, and then they're still a family. Like they were literally like hanging out, and it was just, I don't know, that was the best. That made the experience like the best production experience I've ever been a part of. And I was like, I want to be part of your family too, you know. It was like a big hug. It was amazing, right? Anyway.
Well, I just want to jump in and say that when Agam said she was worried about who's not knowing him, you know, possibly affecting the dynamic in a negative way, Hoos was the guy on set every morning being like, what's up, everybody? it was not possible to have a bad morning with Hoos on set. Like he has a sparkle about him. And yeah, I agree. This was actually the best filming experience I've had in my career. It felt like theater. It felt like, you know, you were stuck with these people in the trenches for 5 years doing the same play over and over again, but it was a month filming. It was just, there's this connection that you can't replicate, you can't anticipate, you can't, you know, make happen. It just happened on its own organically. And I feel, I know for myself, I was on a personal journey of, you know, working through some things, and this working with these people in the middle of Regina and the deep winter and -40 was really like, they gave me a lot, not just professionally, but in my personal life as well. And I will only carry the most like amazing memories from this experience. It's always going to be a standout for me, filming Donkeyhead with everyone.
I think what you're describing really shows on screen. And it's really wonderful. And for people watching this that are, you know, embarking on putting their projects together, something that Anand's touching on is that when you're putting your financing together, and maybe you could speak to it further, Anand and Kelly, you know, there's different places to go, and there's the marketplace where there might be pressure to put cast together so that they can do projections of sales out there, and then decide how much they can put in to help you produce the movie. Whereas when you're coming to telefilm, particularly, it's a first feature and it's the lower budget stream, what we're really focused on is making that film the best film it can be, that it's a critical success, that it gets the kind of attention that it's getting now, and that it raises up the team so that they can go on to make other films. And so in that way, we don't expect that there's cast attached, those names that will drive the marketplace, because we're really looking at what will be the cultural impact, what will be the audience, will it resonate, and what can it do for the careers of the people that are making this film. And so telefilm can be what we call first in, which means you don't need other financing in place to come to telefilm. But then once we are in, you do have to close your financing and get everything into place. And hopefully at the budget level that you need to realize your creative vision. So Anna and Kelly, can you just talk about maybe other sources of financing? You mentioned telefilm, you mentioned Creative Saskatchewan, and I'm assuming there'd be tax credits, but how else did you round out that financing?
Well, we pre-sold it to a broadcaster, first of all, Super Channel. And then we also accessed the Canada Media Fund. There's a regional bonus that gets triggered by our TV license. So all those things were in the financing plan. And then there's also an equity fund in Saskatchewan for projects that shoot there. So we were successful in getting, I think, one of the biggest pieces out of them that we've gotten from that fund. It wasn't near what telefilm put in, but it was about half of what you did do. And then there's a grant in Saskatchewan. So all these pieces kind of came together, and they all trigger each other. And so I'm happy to, if anyone who watches this wants to know more about that, they can ask me anytime. But it's like not a house of cards. It's a slightly more solid than that, but it's a triggering process. And I think the most important thing is to choose the right size of budget for your film and your financing, so that you have enough resources to make the kind of movie that you want to make, and that you, in our case, had the freedom to do what you needed to do, right? And so I think we found that sweet spot, because had we tried to go bigger, we would have been beholden to someone who didn't have the same priorities. And had we gone smaller, I don't think we could have done it with as much dignity and resources to keep everyone here, everyone here deserves to sort of do their craft and be treated properly, right? So I think we found a sweet spot, and I'm so happy that it worked out. But it was, that's the right budget, right financing plan, and it was all Canadian. And then go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to add that there was a bit of a hole in our financing as well, up until even just a couple of months ago, or weeks for that matter. So we were able to raise a bit of private equity as well, just in the last couple of months through some private investors, which is still in process actually. So even after the film was made, so it's kind of an ongoing process in that case. And that was thanks to Anand and our connections with some Indian investors and partners in India as well.
Yeah. So there's always a piece of the financing that's typically sort of not there, and that either can get filled in with a pre-sale to another territory, or in our case, it's going to get filled in with a private investor. So 2 private investors, and so we're still working on that. So when we're done making the movie, so that's a bit of hopefully useful insight into that process.
This is so exciting, because the film is an ensemble cast, and there are so many moving parts, and there's such authentic storytelling, and really, really bravo on the job of casting, and also on the producing part. Bravo to you for helping tell this really authentic story, because as Agam is saying, and as a lot of these actors have noticed, these stories are just not being told. And as who's mentioned, they're too few and far between, and so I want to know from Telefilm's perspective, how is it that you are choosing to finance films these days? Like, how is it that you chose, for example, this film, and what were the challenges and what were the things that this team brought to you that you thought were really strong, and what were perhaps not so strong that you thought that needed to be worked on, and how did you work on those?
Great questions, and a few things there to unpack. What the time you want to approach Telefilm is when you have a script that you feel is production ready. And that's when you can reach out to Telefilm and have a conversation and talk about, this is the plan. And then we can help strategize on that timing of, when to come in, what you need to have attached. And for us to really understand what your creative intentions are. We have two things when we're decision making. There's an advisory committee as part of the process where we get representation around the table from industry professionals, and we evaluate all the projects and we discuss them at length, and people weigh in. And then we also have a portion where we're portfolio balancing, and that's where we're looking for films that are going to resonate and reach audiences in Canada and abroad, and different audiences that may not know how rich Canadian film is. And so when something like DONKEYHEAD came in, where it had a very polished screenplay, it was production ready, there was a team in place that knew how to get these types of films done. And as you said, a story that we want more of these stories told, and that they could reach a lot of audiences that may not be hearing stories from Canadians that speak to their communities. So it was a very important film in that way. And also, I would say on the tip of, I think, a really exciting new wave of Asian and South Asian filmmaking coming from the West. And that was really exciting to me as the Western Regional executive. We have a lot of first features coming from creators from these communities, and I think we're going to see just more to come. As I think it's a very, very exciting time right now.
Indeed, absolutely. Now, this is beautiful storytelling. This is authentic storytelling. This film is going to resonate with audiences across Canada, but especially South Asian audiences across North America, Europe, and I really believe the world, because this is like a microcosm. Family is, that story resonates with everybody, especially our programmers absolutely love this film. Now I want to know what have been the distribution challenges. Kelly, Anand, Agam, how has the film been? How has it been for you, and what do you hope to achieve now that you've made this extremely beautiful film?
Who wants to start?
I'm not sure if we're allowed to say or not.
Yeah.
When a producer says they're not allowed to say yet, that's usually good news. So we will just.
That's amazing. I think that you should say what you're comfortable with, and I want to know from your heart.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can say that we hope for the biggest and widest release possible all the time, and rarely do you get that with Canadian indie films, and that's what Kelly and I have been working on for the last, almost 2 decades, right? And it's really nice that I feel so great that this film is going to get out there and be seen, right, by people. And so we have in Canada, we have a guaranteed theatrical release through a company here that we put that, brought that to the project, and then we know it's going to play on TV in Canada. And what we do after the film and during and before is try to find distribution in all the other parts of the world, right? And so, you know, I think we're in a good situation right now because we have something cooking up that's going to take us out in 4 other countries. And so we're excited about that.
Anna, do you
I
have
don't know
a
what else to
timing?
tell you.
So what about just the timing for when you know, it's going to play and premiere at Mosaic, and then it's going to have a theatrical release in Canada, and also it will play on Super Channel, you mentioned. So what's the timing of that? Do you have any idea of when people can start telling all their friends and family to go see it in theaters?
Yeah, I mean, again, the ideal situation is that we want to time the theatrical release of the film in Canada with its streaming release in those other territories. And that, as far as we know right now, we've been told January. And so, you know, in January, we can expect to either be announcing the dates for the theatrical release in Canada or, you know, it'll be in theaters. And so, from there, you know, we'll get as good a release as we can do within the country, and then it'll go to transactional VOD like iTunes and different VOD platforms where people can pay to see it, and then it will go to our broadcast partners on the show. So that's how it will play in Canada, and then yeah.
And I guess we would hope that we can use that momentum to try and trigger some, attract some foreign sales in the other territories. So travel to like the European film market in Berlin, Cannes would be probably good timing as well, because it will have released and hopefully to some like critical success, and use that as leverage to try and attract some foreign partners outside of those 4 territories.
And for you, Agam, how does it feel now that you've worked so hard and your baby's now coming out after like more than 10 years of the gestation period? How are you feeling? How are you doing? Are you ready for the red carpet for MISAFF on the 2nd of December at the TIFF Lightbox? How does it feel? Tell us.
I don't know what to wear. No, it feels really good. It definitely took me a little while after we finished post, because it's really weird to be so obsessed with something for so long, and like obsessed, and then finally you're done. And then I was like, what's like, now what, you know? And you know, this process has been fast, but we have also, you know, experienced the no's, the people, the distribution companies that we've approached, you know, early on, saying, no, I don't think we want this. You know, there was a handful of those as well. And so that's such a weird thing, right? You're creating this piece of art, you want people to enjoy it, and they come back and, you know, it's a great film, but we just don't have a space for it, or we're just not interested. And it's a different kind of rejection than I've had as an actor. I understand that rejection, and it doesn't hurt quite as much as like having someone say no to your child. So now that we get to celebrate and that we actually get to have people watch it, this is the first time I'm going to see the film with an audience, and the first time Hoos is actually going to see the film like at all. You know, so it's really exciting. It's really exciting.
It's the culmination of your years of experience, you know, in front of the camera, and then now you're behind the camera and in front of the camera, and you've produced this incredible film, which MISAFF is extremely proud to world premiere, and we are very excited because we believe in your film, and we know the power and the authenticity and the urgency and importance of this film to be out there and to be seen, and it'll be embraced by everybody. We are absolutely sure of that.
I think that's also the thing, is that it's such a perfect audience and a perfect like a space to be able to show this film. You know, it is the audience that we ultimately made this film for. So the fact that the timing couldn't be better, like the fact that MISAFF has, you know, taken it under its wing and is really just giving us the push that we all dreamt of is really enormous.
It's as Lauren said, it's a very exciting time for South Asian filmmaking. And also, I want to know, you know, I believe we have seen it as curators, as programmers. I mean, I have been programming films for many years, and I have been watching South Asian cinema from across the globe. And your film, this very special thing that people will realize is that, you know, the Canadian accent is so clear, and you all speak so well in the film. The sound is so good that everybody from everywhere is going to be like, okay, I understand that. Even the uncle, aunties sitting wherever, Pakistan, Rawalpindi, India, Delhi, wherever, everyone's really going to be able to understand it, which is so exciting. And it's funny, and it's moving, and it's emotional. So I really think that you're a very clever woman, and you've created a really masterwork, and your team is just brilliant. I just love the film. I'm gushing over the film because it's so good, and I'm really, really excited for it to have that world premiere at the Tishwa Lightbox. Now, what are you all up to next? Just as we wrap up, I'd like to ask you that.
So can I just add something just about your comment about the audience? Because I really appreciate how much you're a champion of this film, Arshad, and how you know the audience very well. And so for you to believe in this film, to speak to that audience means a lot to us. But I don't want to also underestimate that this is a film just for South Asian immigrant families, because you know, obviously I read it and I could instantly relate to actually all of the characters. You know, I don't speak Punjabi. I have traveled a lot, so I've been very much inspired by my travels to India. But it's like one of those films that I think everyone can have a piece of it. Like there's so many layers to that story that it doesn't matter if you're a Sikh Punjabi or gay or straight or from settler community, from a northern town or from the city. It's got those universal themes of trying to step up when crisis hits, and family and dedication to you know, just
Kelly,
doing something with your life.
We had that experience on set. I mean, I think all the actors will be able to attest to this. Like in the middle of the scenes, like, you know, the crew. I don't think we had a South Asian. Like they were mainly white, mainly Caucasian crew members. And so, how many of them came up to us saying like, "I relate to your character," or "This scene reminds me of when this happened to my parents." Like there were so many people just who were part of the film who resonated, and they weren't South Asian. So I'm really interested in seeing how this movie is received by people outside of our community.
I absolutely agree with you, Kelly. This is an intersectional film, and this is a film that so many people can relate to, irrespective of where they're from. The only reason that we, you know, kind of highlight the fact that it so resonates with South Asians is because, you know, when my programming team and I, when we watched the film, we were like, okay, it's high time that this story was told and these films were being made, and this kind of authentic, engaging, emotionally resonant and real kind of film came out, because we all want to see it on the big screen. And it's a very beautifully shot film. It's very well made, and it's a film you need to go to the cinema to watch. And it's time we had that. You know, we have that in the UK with the British Asian cinema, you know, but in Canada it's just not enough. So it's very welcome, and you're right. It's you know, it's going to have a resonance across the board. We really do feel that, and our audiences at MISAFF are very diverse as well.
Yeah.
So what's everyone up to next?
Up there.
Starting with you.
What are you up to?
I feel like Kelly hasn't stopped since we wrapped. So Kelly, why don't you talk about what you're up to?
Well, I'm currently in North Bay shooting another Christmas movie of all things. Yeah, it's not quite as well. Anyways, it's a lovely film, but DONKEYHEAD was like it meant a lot to me as well as a producer. And I don't know, we have like a number of projects. We have a road trip thriller that's going to be really exciting. We're hoping to shoot next summer, and maybe up in North Bay. I've just been driving around, so on our tech survey, I'm like, wow, this could be a nice location for a road trip horror movie. You know, a bit of a departure, but a couple of documentaries that are coming up, science doc. We have a slate of about, I don't know, it's hard to keep track sometimes, but you know, at least hopefully we'll trigger, you know, 3 or 4 shows next year. We'll see how it goes.
That's so exciting. Northern Ontario is really, really beautiful. And I really like how you're working on scripted and unscripted content. So well done.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, documentary was kind of, I think, one of the first things that got me involved with Karma Film and on it. And it is one of my passions for sure. There's just something about documentaries that are so fascinating to me because it just takes you to worlds that you wouldn't normally go to in a scripted world, you know. And sometimes those stories are just more, I don't know, they're just quite fascinating to see real life and go to these places that you would otherwise never visit. We just wrapped another road trip documentary series, and we're driving all over Saskatchewan and visiting all of these small towns that I would never go to otherwise. And it was great, you know, you get to meet all sorts of crazy, wonderful people and see new places and work in a tight little team too, which is always kind of fun. Not a crew of 50, you work with a crew of 5.
Yeah. You know, I also wanted to ask very quickly about working in Regina. I mean, that's an unusual choice of place to choose to shoot the film in. And could you just quickly talk about that? You know, because I mean, I know Agam, you're from BC, and a lot of you are from Ontario. So how did that happen, and did that help you?
Well, the film is actually I was born in England and I lived all over Canada. And so it was based sort of on a period of my life where I lived in Calgary. And so we were supposed to shoot the film in Calgary. And then because Kelly and Anand are from Saskatchewan, they pitched the idea of shooting it in Regina and doing the exteriors in Calgary. And then just out of budgetary constraints, we had to get rid of the whole Calgary portion. And I just made a decision to just like, let's just base this in Regina. And it was one of those creative decisions that actually made the script better. I think it was a really good idea to do that, because I think Regina just lends itself so well to the film. It's a town that doesn't necessarily get bigger, you know, people leave. It's a tough town, and it's a town full of working class people, and but with a lot of heart. Like there's and some strange, weird, like ugly beauty there, you know. And so I kind of fell in love with the city, and yeah, we just decided to shoot it there. But I know Anand and Kelly could probably talk more about that as well.
Well, Regina is actually really well set up for films of this size, and we had access to the soundstage, which is very underutilized. We had the whole soundstage mainly for parking vehicles, which is sad that it's not used more for actually filming in. But you know, everything's like super close by, and then the crew in Regina is really solid. It's a really lovely mix of veteran crew people and eager, keener, like first timers. So the energy is really welcoming there, and then all of the community is just really supportive of any sort of films that are filming in Regina, because it doesn't happen that often as much as it used to.
It was the right size and type of film in many ways that aren't obvious to make there. And I'm glad we took that leap, and I'm glad that Agam kind of bought into the idea, because I think it sort of fit with, you know, the story and this character and that world that Mona occupies and created. And you know, we know also from being from here and working here what's possible and what's not. Sometimes that's important to know too, right? What you can't do. So I think it worked out well. Yeah. And it's really cold, so it's nice to shoot a winter movie in a cold, snowy place.
It's so cold.
Yeah, we didn't take.
Yeah, Steven and I almost died, I think, when we went back from a restaurant. I think we were like, okay, man, if this happens, this is the emergency number. Like, it was, there was a moment where, like, this could be it.
Right.
Yeah, our
And what's nice is also you just
sorry. I was
Go
just going to say our DP Leonardo Haram, he's from Brazil. And he comes to Regina and he has like the best, like, you know, Canada Goose like jacket and everything. But even there was this one day and he was like looking at me. I felt so bad for him because like the guy just like tried so hard. But there was this one day that was just so awful because we were filming outside. There's a lot of technicalities that went wrong. I think at that point it was like minus like 42 or something, and then
Yeah, he
our
had all,
bike
like, that
broke
ice.
and like I think our dolly froze up. Like it was just like humans are not supposed to be outside when it's
But
that
he had
cold.
that ice, like, on his, like, eyebrows, and, like, it was all over, like, it was like icicles on his face. Like, it was that. I remember that day. Leo had, like, ice, like, he was like a big ice ball. It was nuts. Yeah.
You guys did what no one else has done. There have never been that many South Asians making a movie in Regina in February, and there never will be again, perhaps, right? It was just the perfect.
I think it'll become a destination and people will go visit that house and they will buy tickets and Regina is gonna be all the rage, you know, and I'm an optimist that way. But I think it's very important because the place plays a character, you know, and you know the isolation from, you know, the lead character feels from the rest of the siblings who have taken off. And you feel it, you understand the complexity of that kind of situation for people. Now what I wanted to do is I wanted to pass the floor back to Lauren. Lauren, if you have any other questions.
Well, it was interesting you mentioned that you were quite spread out, that Agam was here in BC, your cast is spread out, you filmed in Regina. What did you do for post-production? Where did that take place? And Agam, were you flying back and forth or were you based in BC during that time?
Yeah, you know, I was based in BC, so post our editor was in Calgary. And we would use, what is it called, Kelly? Evercast? It was just a program basically that my editor had where she would edit in live time, and we're both watching it, and it's like being in an editing room together. But we're working in distance, and it was really great. Actually, I don't know what that process would be like to be with someone in the room, and so I found it great because also as a mother, there's only so much time you want to spend away, or any parent, you don't want to spend that much time away from your kids. And I'd already used up my spending away days. And so I felt like I wanted to be home and be able to do this in an easy way. And then, yeah, aside from that, sound was in Vancouver. That was live. That was like in the room. And the rest of the post, aside from there was some stuff that was done with Java Post, which was in Saskatchewan, in Regina. Yeah.
And I have to ask the one
composer,
question. Oh, go ahead, Kelly.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, and our composer, Agam chose, was AJ Giuliani, and he's based there also, which was very convenient. And then also our sound designer, Oscar Vargas, was there. So it enabled Agam to be, you know, present with them.
And the colors.
I think every day.
Yeah.
Especially Oscar.
Basically all the creative post-production roles, like the creative editor was in Calgary, the creative, you know, the colorist, the sound editor, and the composer were in Vancouver with Agam and Leo, and then Java Post did all the final post-production and finishing, and they're doing the packaging right now and outputting DCPs and all that final last stage stuff. So.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't ask Agam what it was like doing your first feature, which is hard enough, but you were on both sides of the camera. And how did you prepare for that? And how did that get executed on set?
I was so aware of how many people were counting on me. And just, how much money was going into the film, how much like I couldn't fail. So I was like, I was very, very prepared. I was really lucky. I had Leo, my DP, and even before we had funding, he and I would meet on a weekly basis talking about the script, sharing ideas, sending links back and forth, and so by the time we were shooting, I had like this Bible full of every single idea for every single scene. I was very prepared because I knew those days were going to come where I was going to be so tired I wouldn't be able to like even communicate a thought, and I would have to just be like, just point at the book and hope someone could like take over, kind of thing. But yeah, it was really hard. I've been acting for almost 2 decades, so in some ways I feel like as an actor I understand my machine. I know what I can do, and so I don't have to put as much. It's not that I don't put as much thought in, but I worked with an acting coach prior. I knew my stuff. I knew this character. She was in me. And the thing that I was the most, I guess, nervous about was the directing, because it was new. And so that's also where Robert came in, Robert Copley, who was my directing mentor. And he was really instrumental also in just like questions that I had, anything I was nervous about, I was able to go to him. And also I have to say Deepa Mehta was our executive producer. And at this point I had done Donkeyhead, and she was also such a wonderful resource. So when I had questions, when I wasn't quite sure about certain directions, I was able to also go to her. So I felt like there were so many pillars in place to really just make sure that it went smoothly. And then also days was like one of the biggest things that I wanted to, that I wanted, and Kelly and Anand were so great at being able to accommodate that, was to not make a film for 14 days, which unfortunately is kind of the norm these days. Like that's how long it takes some people to make a film, which is fine, but it's just I don't know how I would make a film that has artistic resonance, if I had so little time. Like I think more days just has more time to percolate and for things to kind of like work together, and a little more time to do an extra take or whatever. It still felt fast and furious, but that was a huge thing, was more days. And I think that was actually also something that you really advocated for us too, Lauren, was just like, that was something that a lot of, I think, first time, I don't want to put words in your mouth, maybe you can explain a bit more, but first time filmmakers, you said like you tend to just like cut those days down when really that's what you need.
It's I will always fight for more days for a director, for sure. And I just think production costs have increased, and that's where people can only raise so much financing, and so they often need to scale back the number of days. But it really hinders the ability to do what you just described, Agam. Do an extra shot, an extra take, try something or a scene in a different way, and let the director kind of breathe and work with the performers, and not have a crushing page count to get through. So I'm so glad that Anna and Kelly were able to provide that for you.
I think also, just kind of on that note, a big part was also knowing the type of film you wanted to take within the means that you had. I think sometimes we get sort of locked into this like Hollywood idea of like a film, you have to cover everybody. And like, I think Europe is such a great example. European films are such a great example of, if you have a budget, like really smart artistic ways of getting the shot and telling the story without having to, do an over and a close up on every single person, like there's other ways to tell a story. And so that was also part of kind of our strategy. And my strategy was like, how do I tell the story with so many characters, with as few shots as possible, while still like staying true to what it is that I wanted to convey.
Yeah. And I just wanted to say too, and Agam is the most prepared director that I've ever worked with. The Bible that she created for this film Like our first AD, who's done like tons of movies, was just like, I said, "Have you ever seen anything like this before?" He's like, "Never." Like it was just, you just geeked out on it, and I thank you. I think we all do, because what we saw was you guys being able to play as performers on set, and with everyone else too. But yeah, that was really impressive.
Well, that's also another thing, is the casting, right? Like the reason why these guys are cast is because they're seasoned performers. I mean, and because like they embodied the characters, and they were able to bring stuff that I didn't even imagine. So that made the process also easier. Nobody had to learn how to act. They were bringing more than you could even imagine. So that's like, it all just comes together, right? It's the team.
Also, Agam was so present. Like that was the thing. I think the three of us, like Sandy, Steven, and I spoke about how many times. Like, how was she doing this? Like, she was present as a director, giving very clear direction, and also confident in her decisions, and then present as an actor. Like, it's like she was right there. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I never felt like we didn't have a director available. I also never felt like Agam wasn't available as Mona. It was kind of miraculous seeing her run on, I'm sure, however little sleep she must have had, but yet was able to fulfill both roles in a way where, from our perspective, where both engines were fully engaged. And like Anand said, her Bible, that book, was crazy. I remember seeing it on set being like, what is that? And Agam shared me a couple of pages, and it was, I think that's why, like, Agam, you really did. You worked so unbelievably hard. I don't think there could have been any more work you could have covered to have been prepared for that film. And it was really important for us as performers to have that availability to not only engage with you in the scene, but also come up and not feel guilty about asking you questions as a performer to a director. And she was fully available. I'm just reiterating what who said, but yeah, that was a big advantage for us on the film as well. And I think why we were able to move through our days.
And then we'd hang out and we'd knock on our door and be like, hey,
yeah.
Like, yeah, sure, come on in.
Then we'd knock on her door at night. Want to hang?
Let's have a dance party.
How about that scene? Today? How did that go? How was I in that? Was that good?
Yeah.
You're like, great.
Am I okay? Am I doing a good job?
It's just like twins. That's really where it comes down to. Like, nothing is harder. It's just like being a mother of like lots of children is how it felt.
Yeah,
that's so wonderful. That is so sweet. And I think directing is also like, it's one of the most challenging things, because a lot of times you have to understand where your cast and crew are at themselves, and the fact that your cast speaks so highly of your work is an attestation to your great gifts, Agam. And also, I think you have the advantage of being an actor. So that, I think that experience, when you bring that experience and you've worked with people like Deepa Mehta, as you said, and you're able to see their craft and really learn from working with such people. So you're bringing all those skills on set, and we really hope to see more actors making work for themselves and for others. Very, very encouraging. Last few words from each of you. We'd love to hear any last comments, please, starting with Sandy.
Just a big thank you to everyone who will be watching this film. It's very, very near and dear to our hearts. It was a labor of love, and it was a joy to be a part of in every sense of the word. And we really hope that you find that enjoyment and that connection that we feel with this film. And just a big thank you to MISAFF for, taking this film on.
Who's?
What was I gonna say? First of all, yeah, Arshad, MISAFF's amazing, man. Like, this is so awesome that this is happening. To answer your question earlier, the next big thing I'm doing is gonna be at this premiere, like, which I can't wait. I'm in Dubai right now, and I cut my trip short so I can be there. Like, I do not want to miss it. And And yeah, and we're all on a DONKEYHEAD siblings group chat. So maybe you can, private message us the good news that, you can just share what that is. But yeah, I'm just so excited about it, and thank you Telefilm and Anand and Kelly, such sweethearts. Anyways, thank you.
And Steve.
This has got me so excited. I want to come to Toronto now. I mean, I always do want to come to Toronto.
Do it.
Can I play it like last? Can I play it by ear? And like, how much notice do I need to give?
You don't need to give any notice. Just the day of. You can say I'm boarding a flight. I'm coming. Just be there. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful premiere.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me here. It was a real pleasure to see you all again and meet you as well, Lauren.
And now the producers, and then Kelly.
Yeah, thank you, Arshad, for making this film such a priority and for doing what you guys do at MISAFF. I think it's amazing that you give our films a platform, and the timing couldn't be better. I think it's just perfect, and it's going to give us all the chance to do that thing that we've all been longing to do for the last 2 years and unable to do because of COVID and life. To be together and to watch the movie and to watch in a beautiful space and with a community that's excited about this story. So thanks.
Over to you, Kelly.
Thanks for bringing us together, Arshad. MISAFF, everyone at MISAFF, we're really looking forward to the event and seeing it play and seeing how audiences react to it. It's going to be wonderful.
Yeah. Oh my God, so much praise and appreciation for us. That's very kind of you, but stop doing that. I want your ideas and thoughts. Any final thoughts, anything, Agam, any messages, what's in your heart? Just any final.
Yeah, I mean, this making this film was a dream come true. Absolutely. I knew I was going to make this film. I didn't know how. I didn't know how big it was going to be. And it's just been like one believer after another who's become part of this team and believes in it. And like, I think it's just so important because story is so important. Like, we're not just talking about a movie, we're talking about stories and this need to tell our stories and a need for people to see themselves represented, to see themselves heard and seen. And so we're talking about something far greater than just a movie. And so the support for a film like DONKEYHEAD is so huge. And I'm so grateful to Telefilm. I'm so grateful to MISAFF. I'm so grateful to Kelly and Anand, who like took a chance on working with someone that they really didn't know. And to Stephen, Hoos, and Sandy, like, I'm so grateful for their generosity as artists and as actors and for really bringing so much magic to life, because that's where it also happens, is like acting, like what you see that's recorded on the camera. So I'm like full of so much energy and love and for this. And so it really is just like a step in this wonderful little journey of DONKEYHEAD. So thank you.
Bravo to your excellent DONKEYHEAD team. Well done. Absolutely. You have many reasons to rejoice and to celebrate. And we will hope by the time this comes out, you will be ready for the Mosaic International South Asian Film Festival opening night, red carpet gala, the centerpiece film at the TIFF Bell Lightbox. And I want to really especially thank Lauren Davis for taking the time today. Any final thoughts from you, Lauren?
I'm just so excited. Thank you to MISAFF for treating this film with the care it deserves, and to this passionate team that put it together. It was just a joy to watch this come together, and really look forward to the life it's going to live now out there in the world. And thank you for inviting me to be part of this discussion and this send-off for this one wonderful project.
Yes, it's very nice, especially I'm a filmmaker as well. So for us to see connect the dots between how things get made and how the struggle goes. So thank you for all your generosity and your beautiful answers. I want to once again thank the Canadian Community Arts Initiative that presents the Mosaic International South Asian Film Festival. I want to thank the Ontario Arts Council, ACTRA Toronto, Toronto International Film Festival, Karai Boys, Heritage Canada, Canada Council for the Arts, the province of Ontario, city of Mississauga, Culture Division of Mississauga, and really, really thank you, Telefilm Canada, for being so generous and for supporting MISAFF and DONKEYHEAD and so many excellent initiatives that our creators in Ontario and Mississauga, across Canada and the world are doing and making. Thank you, and enjoy the festival. The festival is from the 1st to the 5th of December, 2021. You can go to misaff.com for more information and enjoy the digital cinema. And please spread the word at Mosaic_MISAFF and the hashtag MISAFF21. Have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.